If you cannot get your fix with a Joy Girl or Joy Boy, then Braindance in the latest gaming consoles such as Rush Revolution from Sega Atari may satiate your desires. Drive the action while VR enhances immersion. Powerful computers can recreate people and fictional characters, including ancient and alien worlds with a level of detail never seen before. Whether you're lying in a comfortable ISO booth or net interfaced in your own home, you'll enter a super realistic world designed by the best historians, psychologists, and entertainment engineers available. Leave the misery of the real world to live another life. Share the experience with dozens of other users and gamers connected with you in the same reality. In many respects, Braindance mirrors netrunning in that it allows, via neural transmission, a person to fully and realistically experience an alternate reality. Unlike the interface a netrunner uses, the perceptions are not created from the user's brain, but rather from the recorded thoughts, memories, and physical sensations of another person. Originally developed as a method of aversion programming for convicted criminals, and later as a military simulator, Braindance became one of the most popular forms of entertainment during the 20s, although by 2077 it is considered more of a luxury and a dangerous obsession for a select few addicts. Several companies, including Raven Microcybernetics, DMS, Braindance Incorporated, have many employees whose sole purpose is to go out and get involved in situations that normal people only dream of. As they confront these dangers, a technician records the entire experience and will later edit them for the viewing audience. Once a suitable length chip has been compiled and edited, the chips are distributed to various locations for mass production. There are several ways to gain access to Braindance. The first is at an arcade, a multi-level room consisting of private booths in which a person can experience the Braindances which are currently being offered by the distribution services. In Cyberpunk 2077 in V's apartment, there is a Zetatech no-house interface with an option to order Braindance, meaning you can now enjoy Braindance within the confines of your own home, while gaming companies such as Sega Atari now provide consoles and VR headsets. Braindance was invented by Yuriko Tsujimoto, a graduate student at the University of California, Santa Cruz in 2007, using an extrapolated Morse equation, the basis for neural response translation, and a netrunner interface as a base. Yuriko Tsujimoto managed to record her thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations into a standard information chip. When she plugged the chip back into the modified cyber modem she was using as a recorder, Tsujimoto was able to experience what she had recorded in exact detail. Upon receiving her PhD from Santa Cruz, Tsujimoto went to work for the state of California as a researcher in penal reform. It was here that she and Norman Lassimer, a noted penal psychologist, began to realize the implications of her discovery as pertaining to penal reform. Psychologists had often discussed the desire and need for criminal reprogramming. Many felt that a criminal had forfeited their rights upon breaking the law and should therefore be subjected to adverse conditioning against the crime they had committed. In December 2002, the Supreme Court, by unanimous vote, approved criminal reconditioning for certain antisocial crimes. The victory was bittersweet, as reconditioning methods were primitive and generally ineffective until Tsujimoto's discovery. With the introduction of Braindance, psychological reconditioning could be rendered cheaply and effectively, removing prisoners from the prison population. This last point is what sold the state on this system. By reconditioning prisoners, the state could relive the overcrowded prison conditions that existed. In order to achieve the desired effect of the Braindance, Lassimer and Tsujimoto had to recreate a nightmare-like situation in which the offending subject would be placed. They reasoned the sought-after version would come from the offender experiencing repeated instances of their crime being foiled and severe harm coming to the criminal in the attempt. Though they had no database to work from, as few criminals were filmed committing a crime and none whose sensory nerves were being rerouted into a recorder, the researchers were undaunted. After several setbacks, Lassimer and Tsujimoto managed to convince the California State state senate to partially fund their project and to offer sentence reduction for project volunteers. The final step in convincing the senate came when Militech offered to help with the funding and offered jobs to those who were released early in exchange for a license to market the Braindance machines as a military simulator. With the combined offers of Militech and the state of California, there were some volunteers, but not enough to complete one database, let alone the 7 they wished to have. On March 2009, they achieved their big break. Harold D. McElroy, a convicted mass murderer, was due to be executed by the state when he made an unusual request. If Militech would give compensation to his family, then McElroy would allow himself to be killed while recreating one of the scripted crimes of Lassima and Sugimoto. Once a set amount of money was agreed upon and a contract signed, McElroy allowed his death to be recorded. Once the deal was announced, the general public became outraged at the nature of the bargain which McElroy struck, though Lassima, Sugimoto and Militech felt it was a critical turning point for their project. Soon thereafter, 8 inmates who were scheduled to be executed within the year made similar agreements with Militech, and their deaths were recorded as well. Although the initial database was small and the first correctional Braindance ran only an hour and a half, the program was successful. After much experimentation in which 3 inmates who had volunteered for the project were rendered brain dead by machine dysfunction, the Braindance was introduced into the San Quentin Correctional Facility. The first inmate to undergo the Braindance, Gerald Weisenheimer, spent 9 hours a day for 1 week, living inside the Braindance. Although he admitted the actual experience needed to be lengthened, Weisenheimer announced he would never commit robbery again. When pressed to describe the experience, he vowed never to touch another person for as long as he lived. The first success was a great incentive to the state of California to further fund the program, which had drawn flack from all branches of the government until it was proven to work. With increased funding in 2009, combined with a national government contract to produce more machines and Braindance tapes, Lassima and Sugimoto formed Braindance Incorporated. As Braindance became a more socially acceptable form of entertainment, there were also dangers which must be realized. As with most forms of mass market entertainment, there is a problem with illegal duplication and distribution of the Braindance chips. Although the mass-produced chips are carefully screened for acts which may cause disruption of a person's mental or bodily functions, and those which may not be suitable for some are labeled with a warning, home-produced Braindances are under no such jurisdiction. Although Braindance has 2 primary functions, those of entertainment and re-education, it has other uses. By collecting a large enough database, a company could train new employees using Braindance. Although their bodies would need to adjust to the skill, the person would already have the knowledge of how a certain function is supposed to be performed, without the waste of manpower to supervise the training. Braindance therapy is also used to rehabilitate patients with cyberpsychosis. Braindance has become very important on the gaming scene. A new company, Sega Atari, has been dominating the market with their new Rush Revolution entertainment system. If you recall from the Cyberpunk 2077 trailer, a child was playing with what looks to be a VR headset, and this may very well be a Sega Atari system. The Sega Atari comes with over 200 games, such as Kung Fu Fighter and Elflines Online. Originally, Sega Atari was a Japanese megacorporation called Sega Atari, which specialized in games, humanoid robots, weapons development, and manufacturing. It is said that no other company came close to producing robots with the sheer beauty and human grace as the Sega Atari bots. As for weapons, a virtual reality interface or VRI was necessary to operate ACPAs. The original design for the VRI was made for a Mechton Warrior game, a reference to one of Mike Pondsmith's other games. Sega Atari is not as well known as Arasaka or Militech, despite being the 5th largest military electronics corporation, because they do not make complete weapon systems, just the components.